Hey guys, it's Marshall Mathers IV here, back to you today with another video. And in today's video, this will be a part 2 video to my video titled Why I'll Never Have a Girlfriend or Ever Get Married, because I didn't get to say everything I wanted to talk about and mention in that video. So I'm going to in this video, and I want to start out by saying that I'm too broken and damaged emotionally and mentally to really love a woman. Any woman for that matter, of any race. And honestly, I don't really even know how someone as dark-minded as me, as twisted and emotionally and mentally broken and damaged, and how I'm just so hopeless all around, could ever love, care about, respect, appreciate, and for that matter, protect a woman. I don't know how someone like myself could ever do something like that. And if I even were to somehow get married, I don't know how I would even protect my children, because I'm a weak man and a weak person, and I don't just mean emotionally and mentally weak, but also physically weak. Like, I don't work out, I don't exercise, I've never had that longing or desire to work out or to exercise. It's never been a craving of mine, or something that I really wanted to do, because if I really wanted to do something, I would have done it. But I didn't, because I didn't want to. And I guess a lot of you, or a lot of people at least, would consider me someone as a beta male. I mean, I am an incel, that's a very obvious fact here. And I'm an all-around failure at life. I'm a pathetic, pitiful, worthless lowlife who has absolutely no purpose or meaning in my life at all whatsoever. I'm a loser. I'm an introvert, not antisocial. And for those of you who can't tell the two apart, no, being an introvert and being antisocial are not the same thing. They're similar, but they are not the same. And I'm an introvert, but I am not antisocial. But the only way that I can be social, or even seem or come off as an extrovert, is only if or when men or women start talking to me first, start the conversation with me first, approach me first before I approach them, because only then will I feel comfortable around that man or woman, or feel like I can trust that man or woman to the point where I will start talking, or I will start responding to them about whatever it is that they're talking to me about. But that pretty much never happens in my life. And obviously, society is never going to put the expectation on women, especially being and living in such an anti-man country, being America, and even a lot of other countries are pretty similar to that too, just like America, but America is definitely the most. It's so pro-women and pro-feminism and pro a whole bunch of other bullshit, but it is so very anti-men. And if any man that it's the most anti-men of, it's definitely the white man. The white man is the boogeyman of pretty much the world. I mean, that couldn't be more clear. And because society never has and never will put the pressure or expectation on any women of any race to be the ones to approach and ask out the men first, or make the first move, in other words, I will never get a girlfriend, let alone ever get married for that matter. There is just absolutely no way in hell, no hope whatsoever for me specifically to ever have a girlfriend or ever get married. I mean, I might be able to have sex with a stripper or a prostitute or whatever, or get an escort or something, but that's only if I can afford one. And to be honest, I don't even think I want to do that, because I do not want to risk getting some sort of fucking sex disease from one of these bitches. Like, no thank you. I would rather be a miserable wreck for the rest of my life than to pay for an escort or a prostitute or whatever to lose my virginity to. I'm never gonna do something like that. I would never stoop that low. And plus, I would only do that if I even had my own place. But I don't. I would never do something like that, especially knowing that I still live with my fucking parents and I feel like absolute dog shit, garbage, and guilty as fuck all the time, because I literally am a bum. I'm a freeloader. I'm leeching off of them, and I have been for far too long. But realistically, I just have honestly no other choice, and that's why I'm still a freeloader or still a leech after all these many years. I mean, I've been a freeloader and a leech for too damn long, but it's the only pretty much choice I really ever had, because I never had the motivation or the drive to get a job on my own by myself. I didn't have the support, didn't really have the courage, or wasn't encouraged by other people like my parents, for example, and I wasn't that pushed as a teenager to do that sort of thing, to be expected and pressured into doing that sort of thing. But believe it or not, I definitely did feel the pressure to get a job as a teenager. I just never did. But when I felt the pressure, it definitely made me really depressed and stressed out that I didn't have a job, or that I wasn't getting a job. It made me feel like shit all the time. And you can believe that if you want or not. The choice is yours. I can't make any of you believe what I'm saying to be true, but I am being truthful. I'm being honest. I'm being dead serious here when I say that I definitely did feel the pressure. And I mean, my mom over the years would scold me, like when I didn't get a job. Not if I didn't get one, but when I didn't, and when I still wasn't. Over the years, and even since I was a teenager, all she would ever do was just say, get a job. Shut up and get a job. Shut up and get a job. Go out and get a job. Get a damn job or whatever. And stuff like that. And then my dad would say things like, you'd really help me out if you got a job. I wish you would get a job, and stuff like that. And sometimes when my dad was younger, he doesn't do it anymore because he just got too old, and to the point where he just has pretty much given up, honestly. I mean, the guy is almost 60 years old, and my mom is close behind to that age herself. I mean, they're only 3 years apart. And, you know, when my dad would get pissed at me when he was younger, but still in his 50s, it would just make me feel like garbage. It would make me feel like dirt, like dog shit, like really guilty, honest to God, that I wasn't getting a job. And I really felt bad that I didn't have a job, because I knew deep down inside me that there was that very extreme, severe longing, yearning, desire, and craving of mine to get a job. But I had no encouragement, no support. I didn't have motivation myself, just on my own, because I never had that trait or personality in me ever in my entire life. I didn't have drive, and I wasn't pushed enough to the point where I would have just had to do that and had no other choice. But also, I didn't have my parents who offered to drive me around to try to help me find or get a job. I didn't have something like that I could be dependent on. So the only other way I could have gotten a job is if by myself I would have had to walk to every job I wanted to get and got an application at like as many jobs as possible, and then of course and obviously returned them to see which ones would have even called me back, to even see if I ended up getting the job or even at least got scheduled for an interview. And that didn't happen, obviously. Otherwise I would not still be here in this shitty ass situation of mine, in this terrible circumstance. But I guess it's kind of my fault in a way. But I mean, I'm kind of getting off topic in this video, but I'm also talking about that because that is another reason why I'll never have a girlfriend or ever get married, because I would literally have nothing to offer any woman that I would ever possibly date or even marry for that matter, because I have no job and therefore no money of my own, still so very dependent on both of my parents equally, but mainly my dad, because he's the only one who even really ever had a job, since my mom stopped working when she started having kids many years ago, like 28 years ago. She totally gave up on that part of her of having a job, so that only my dad ended up having a job instead of both of them, which honestly would have been a lot nicer, but sadly that wasn't the case and didn't end up becoming a reality. My mom never even tried to go back to work, and she's too old for that anyways now. But, so yeah, because I don't have a job, and I never did, I'd have nothing to offer a woman. I have no job, therefore no money. I have no vehicle of my own, and obviously can't afford one, and probably never will be able to, and neither can my parents, because they had too many kids to begin with, unlike most other fucking parents in this country who only have like 1, 2, or 3 at the very most. And I don't have a driver's license, I don't have my own place, and all this that I am saying and mentioning is really embarrassing. Really embarrassing. So the fact that I have none of these things is even enough reason why I'll never have a girlfriend or ever get married, or even more so why I shouldn't ever have a girlfriend or get married, because I have nothing to offer. I would have no way to take care of and provide for a girlfriend or a wife, unless of course I were to find some sugar mama or something like that, to where I would be able to be dependent on a woman like that. I mean, that would be awesome if I were able to have and find something like that, but even then I feel like stuff like that doesn't really exist. At least I certainly can't seem to find something like that actually exists in real life, although it would if I actually had really extremely attractive looks. If I were really good looking, really handsome, and just an absolute Chad in every possible way. Even at least in the face alone. But at the very most, I'm only average looking. Because if I were really handsome, like stunningly gorgeous for a guy, then I could literally be a bum and have any woman just driving past me and taking me under her wing, providing for me, taking care of me, nurturing me, nursing me back to health pretty much, and obviously eventually helping me get a job, marrying me, taking me into her house or apartment, and then I would find a job, and probably a nice one for that matter, and then I would be able to take over being the provider and the caregiver and taking care of her and our kids if we ended up having any. But clearly and obviously that's never going to happen because, again, at the very most, I'm only average looking at best. And I'm not like that upset or disappointed that I'm only average looking. I know I'm not ugly. But at the same time, I know I am not handsome. And being even called handsome doesn't mean shit. I mean, I have been called handsome, good looking, attractive, or whatever over the years on my YouTube channel, but I know for a fact that doesn't mean shit. Especially after a certain amount of time goes by and passes, I can only help but think more and more that that doesn't mean shit. Because it really doesn't. Because, okay, you're calling me handsome, you're calling me good looking, you're calling me attractive, but you're not taking it upon yourself to actually come and get me and to provide for me and care for me and take care of me or whatever, until eventually I can end up being that person. I mean, I literally saw a video on this black guys or black YouTubers YouTube channel that really did piss me the fuck off and really did make me jealous, envious, angry, and just full of extreme severe hatred because of how true it is. Which was this guy, and I think he was a Mexican or Mexican American or something like that, and a lot of black-pilled guys will call guys like that Chadrigas. And there was a girl on her TikTok account or something like that who saw him on a bench. He was a homeless bum, pretty much worse off than me because he wasn't even able to be dependent on his parents. He was a literal bum, worse off than even me. And a woman saw him, a really attractive, good-looking woman for that matter, and she took him in. She fed him, clothed him, took him into her house, a fucking bum, a homeless damn bum, into her house that she bought, that she had, that she earned. And then she, again, fed him, clothed him, pretty much babied him, nurtured him, nursed him back to health. And I don't mean nursing as in literal nursing. I just mean nursing as in helping get better. Nursing him back to health. And then she helped him get a job. And then she bought him his first car. And she helped him, well, she got married to him. After helping him do all this, and of course, I'm sure he eventually ended up becoming the provider to her. But it's so ridiculous that he was a literal bum, a homeless bum, and this really fine-ass girl took him in, nursed him back to health, helped him get a job, got married to him, bought him his first car, and not a shit car either, a nice fucking car. So I'm guessing she's probably really well off herself, especially how young she looked in the video. She probably is some sort of like TikTok famous person or something, and it's not even really that hard for a lot of just normal girls, average looking or really attractive, to do something really basic, really dumb, and just have hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of simps just following them like crazy, like there's no tomorrow, and just giving them money hand over fist. I mean, it honestly, honest to God, is not that hard for just about any woman in the world to become famous and rich off of TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. I mean, there are just so many social media platforms that they can depend on to easily and pretty much become overnight successes, literally. And I mean, I just think it's kind of funny, ridiculous, stupid, but funny that this guy was a homeless bum sleeping on a fucking bench, and I'm sure that's not the only places he slept, but just one of the many. And this fine-ass girl just takes him in and just nurses him back to health, feeds him, clothes him, babies him, feels bad and sorry for him, takes him under her wing, buys him his first car, gets him a job, and then gets married to him. Like, fuck. And that just goes to show all of you, including myself, that if you're a Chad, if you're a Chadrigas, if you're a Tyrone, if you're a Jamal, then you literally, honest to God, don't have to try. You do not have to do much in this life in order to make it, in order to become successful, in order to have just a great, spectacular, fantastic life. Because if you have the looks, things just come easy. You get handed the good life on a silver platter. Even if you're a homeless bum, it won't be long before some really good-looking, attractive girl feels so bad and sorry for you, but also because you're a sexy-ass man, that they'll take you in and they'll nurse you back to health, bro. And I'm being dead serious. I mean, if that weren't realistic, if that weren't the reality of things and such a very true fact, then there wouldn't be a video of that. And I'm sure that's not even the only video. I'm sure there are many other videos just like that one. And, I mean, honestly, it does annoy me. It does really make me bitter, and I have all the right and reason to be bitter about this. And I'm not gonna lie when I say that that's something that I have dreamed and fantasized about over the years of my life. That some really gorgeous, beautiful, sexy, hot, really good-looking, attractive woman were to just come to wherever it is that I lived, most likely still living with my parents, take me in her car or whatever vehicle she has, I get my stuff, and then she just takes me off to paradise, pretty much. I mean, I've honestly, honest to God, fantasized and dreamed about that, hoped and wished for that over the years of my life, since I was a teenager. That's one of the things that I would have loved to happen, and really do wish would have happened. But it never did, and I know for a fact it never will, because I don't have the looks of a Chad. I don't. And I never will. Because at the very most, I am average at best. And ugly guys, and even average looking guys, don't get jack shit. They get nothing. They have to grind like fucking hell to have the good life, to have the American dream, or whatever country they live in dream. They have to bust their ass. They have to just go through so much suffering to have the life that they've always wanted. But if you're a Chad, a Chadrigas, a Tyrone, a Jamal, then you get life on easy mode. You really do. Seriously, in all seriousness. And it really is annoying, and it's frustrating for us ugly and average looking guys to see that and to realize that, man, if only I had those looks, I wouldn't have even had to try that hard in my life. And it's painful. But at the same time, I do think it's kind of funny because, I mean, if you have the looks, then you're already a spoiled, privileged guy, because you're going to have a really easy life. You're going to have life on easy mode. You're going to be handed things on a silver or golden platter, or maybe even a diamond platter for that matter. And you're just going to have such a good paradise on earth life, heaven on earth. But I also want to talk about another reason why I'll never have a girlfriend or ever get married, which is because I'm too negative for any woman. Like, women always want and expect a man to be positive, optimistic, hopeful, and whatnot. But they also want a man to be an extrovert, to be social, to be loved by his community, to be tall, to either be ripped or thin. And obviously they want them to have like the most handsome, good-looking, attractive looks that they can possibly find in a man, because otherwise they're not going to settle. Like, even average-looking women and ugly-looking women would not even settle for average-looking guys or ugly guys. That's not even a thing that happens, because even the ugly girls and average-looking girls even think they have the right to and deserve a Chad Regas, a Tyrone, a Jamal. I mean, seriously, they do. They really do. And it's ridiculous, but that's what they feel like they deserve, that they have the right to, that they can expect and demand, and get that. And a lot of the times they do. Way more so than average-looking men or ugly-looking men do. As insane as it sounds and seems, it's true. And it does happen. And honestly, you know what? I think women are really annoying, because me personally, I would not mind or care one bit if a woman were negative, dark-minded. I would actually love a woman like that, and I would actually be able to relate to a woman like that, connect with a woman like that, and at least then we would be able to suffer together instead of alone. It would be awesome for me, at least, to find a negative, dark-minded woman, because at least we would be in this together, in this hell-on-earth life together, and we would be able to connect on a really deep and personal level and relate to each other, and maybe not, but maybe also have a better relationship then in that case. And, you know, I just think it's silly that women always have to have all these just crazy, high, insane standards and expectations and demands, pretty much, to be met when it comes to their perfect ideal man, their Prince Charming. That he has to meet these certain requirements, otherwise they're not even going to bother with him. They're not going to give him the time of day to ask them out. And here's another thing. You know, I'm not always negative, but for the most part I usually am. And no matter where I go or what I do, I'm just usually depressed or in a really deep thinking state of mind. Like when I'm in the car or something, I'm always thinking about something, or looking out the window and just thinking about really negative, dark things, and just thinking about how shit my life has been over the years. And I don't know, and a lot of times I'm just in a really deep thinking state of mind, most of the time. And every now and then I'll laugh about something funny. Like if I'm watching a funny movie or something funny on the internet anywhere, I'm definitely gonna laugh or smile or chuckle or whatever. And if I'm ever eating good food that I like, that's also like a brief moment or period of time when I'm somewhat happy, at least. So I'm not constantly non-stop 24/7 miserable, depressed, suicidal, stressed out, angry, full of hatred, jealous, or envious. I'm not constantly non-stop 24/7 all the time like that, but just most of the time, with brief moments here and there of being happy or a little bit positive or laughing or having a good time or moment even though it's a brief moment, at least it's still a moment or a certain amount of time where I'm at least a little bit happy, a little bit positive, or having a good time for at least a little bit amount of time. It's better than nothing. That's at least how I see it. And of course, that wouldn't be enough for a woman, but also that definitely brings me to even another reason why I don't think I'll ever have a girlfriend or ever get married, because in a way, I do think I would be too negative and dark-minded for any woman, especially the attractive ones, which are usually the ones who are the most positive, extroverted, and optimistic and hopeful of their lives and what the future in their lives may or may not hold. And especially when it comes to, if anything, the most women out of any of the races of women that are like that, the most positive, most optimistic, most hopeful, most extroverted are definitely black women. And I mean no offense to black women when I say that. I'm not even saying, oh, I hate black women because of that, I'm angry at them. No, but I do think it's pretty annoying. And I do think it's pretty stupid and just silly and superficial, but they just naturally are that way. Black women just naturally have that personality. They have that trait inside of them that they're either born with or grow up to have, just almost always. And even the black women who are ugly or even average looking still have like confidence. They're extroverted, they're positive, they're optimistic, and they're hopeful. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but at the same time, I just feel like it's pretty superficial. And I think it's dumb, stupid, retarded, ridiculous, silly, pitiful, and especially and most of all, annoying. I mean, other women are like that too, but out of most women, even statistics and research done on this shows that black women are the most confident, most extroverted, most positive, most optimistic, and most hopeful out of like any other race of women. I mean, seriously, it's true. And so, knowing that, I definitely know that me getting with a black woman, definitely not gonna happen. Not at all. Not even a chance. But even with other women, like, even if I were to go for other women, and I am attracted to other women, but at the same time, I know that I will definitely not even stand a chance with even them because they're way out of my league, physically speaking, but also emotionally and mentally speaking, they're way out of my league. So I'm just honestly doomed. I really am doomed. And, you know, I would honestly feel pretty bad if I were to date a girl or marry one and she would have to find out the long, hard way that I'm a really negative, dark-minded person. And I would not want to bring any woman, especially if she weren't like me, emotionally and mentally speaking, I would not want to bring any woman down to my level. I would feel so guilty, so much like shit and garbage if I did something like that to another woman, because that wouldn't be fair or right of me. No woman would deserve that. And also, I would not want to, if we were to have any kids, if I were married and I had kids, which I should have a long time ago, honestly, but even if I did, I would not want my kids to not only suffer in their lives, but also have to take on my suffering, because it's been a known fact for a while now that kids do take on the suffering of their parents. Like the legacy of suffering from their parents, the children will take on combined with the suffering that their children will in fact go through, because everybody suffers. And I would feel bad about that if my kids had to grow up with a very emotionally and mentally weak father and a physically weak one, and I just would not feel good about that at all. I would not feel good about that at all whatsoever. And, you know, also, the thing also is that in some ways I would want my kids to suffer if I were to have any, and that's another reason why I don't think I should ever get married, because, you know, that would be really shitty of me. Like, I would not want my kids to be raised in a big city, because I wasn't. I wouldn't want my kids to experience diversity, because I didn't, growing up as a kid or teenager. I wouldn't want my kids to have gaming consoles and video games of their own growing up, or gaming computers as teenagers, because I didn't have that stuff. And yeah, it definitely would not be fair of me, and definitely cruel of me, and already most women would definitely not bother with me, because they would hate someone like me, knowing that I would do something like that if I were to have any children. But at the same time, I honestly cannot understand why a lot of parents in this world will want to give their kids the life that they never had. Like, I just don't really feel like that makes sense at all. I think that's the weirdest thing ever. Like, if you're a parent or parents and you suffered like hell in your life, either in your childhood or teenagehood or whatever, and then you grow up and have kids of your own, and then you think to yourself and say to yourself, I want my kids to have the life I never had. Like, what? Are you fucking kidding me? How does that make any sense? I'm sorry, but I just can't understand why any parents out there in the world would ever want their kids to have the life they never had, like a super spoiled, privileged life compared to them. It just honestly doesn't make sense to me at all. So that's all I wanted to really say in today's video. Let me know what you all think in the comment section down below. I'm out.